In Fairfield County, something new comes across my desk every day. Crimes are committed, cases are solved, and a community is made safe by the hardworking employees of the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office.
Welcome to This Week with Sheriff Dave Phelan, a weekly program here on LSN Television. We're also carried by a number of radio affiliates here in Lancaster. Do appreciate you, the viewers and listeners that join us each and every week. This program is actually produced at Fairfield Christian Academy. And J.T. Burcham and his students actually do the behind-the-scenes stuff. Our executive producer is Kelly Roberts, and we appreciate her good job behind the scenes, lining the guests up in the questions each and every week. Back by popular demand is Tessa Burroughs. Good to see you.
Hi.
If you missed last week's program, she's a veteran dispatcher with the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office, assigned to first shift, and appreciate you coming back.
No problem.
We had a great program last week, and we're going to talk about some interesting things this week. But I thought we would get started with some people may be surprised that the dispatch center, you dispatch for the entire county and the villages.
Yes.
So what is your area of responsibility, and what other dispatch centers do we have in Fairfield County?
Lancaster Police Department
Okay.
has a dispatching center for their police and their fire.
Okay.
Pickerington Police Department, they do their own dispatching there. Violet Township Fire Department is actually dispatched by the MEC Center.
Okay.
We dispatch for every other fire department in the county and every other village police department.
Wow.
So we cover a lot of area.
So is there a lot of different, as far as when we look at the different fire agencies in Fairfield County, is there different procedures, or is it all pretty consistent when you're doing your dispatching?
It's consistent. We do have a lot of departments in the county that are strictly volunteer, so they're not paid. They're not marking en route right away as soon as we dispatch them.
So how do they become aware, if it's a volunteer and I'm at home and I'm a volunteer firefighter, how do they become aware that they're wanted at the firehouse?
We drop tones, and they have now, with technology change, you don't necessarily have to have a radio. They get text on their cell phones.
Okay.
A page that gets sent out that tells them that there is a run, and it has the general information of what the situation is. The tones get dropped at the firehouse. The volunteers, obviously, they've got to get in their vehicles at home or work or wherever they are, drive to the fire station before they can mark en route. We do have set limits for if we don't have a response within a certain time, we'll check up on the station, dispatch them again, a second dispatch. Again, if we don't get them within a certain amount of time, then we'll start dispatching other departments as mutual aid.
Within the county, do you know, and you may not know this, but what kind of the average response time would be?
Honestly, it depends. Usually there's a pretty good response. Depending on the area you're in and how close, there are some departments that cover a larger area than others. And depending on where you are in correlation to where that fire department is and where the volunteers have to come from, sometimes it could take a little while.
And the other thing that may be interesting to our viewers and listeners, the fact that we do prioritize runs. And what does that mean to prioritize a run?
If we get a call for a lockout and then I turn around and get a call for a burglary in progress, I'm going to cancel my unit off of the lockout if they're in that same area, and they're going to go on the burglary in progress. It's a higher priority call. The burglaries, domestics, anything that is an active situation where anybody could be in danger, that's going to get dispatched firsthand.
So if someone's calling about damage to their mailbox or something like that, they would fall low in the pecking order, so they may have to wait a little bit longer, which makes sense in someone that's just had a robbery or something like that.
Right.
Now, a few years ago, you received the Gold Star Award by the state of Ohio. That's a prestigious award, and in fact, I think it's the only Gold Star award that I'm aware of within the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office, and that was quite a call that you took care of and did a terrific job. Just tell us a little bit about that.
It was when I was on night shift. I was actually fairly new. I had only been here for 6 months. And I was on night shift. I got a call from an elderly lady that thought she ran off the road. She was lost and she thought she was in Massachusetts. She had been visiting family and was driving across the country from California and had driven nonstop. I stayed on the phone with her all night. It was cold. It was in December.
She had run off the road? And
she had run off the road. She tried to pull into, I believe, a parking lot, and where there was a culvert that ran under the driveway for the parking lot, she had ran down in that small ravine, and her car was kind of on its side.
Wow.
So she couldn't get out. She kept the car running for a while and then turned the car off. She was trying to keep the heat on. Eventually the car battery died and her cell phone battery died. We had units looking for her all night long, and our shift for night shift is 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. and I got the call around midnight. So I was on the phone with her all night long until it was about 5:30 or 6 when her cell phone finally died. We had units looking for her, driving around with their light bars on to see if she could see them. We were calling different areas. That was when it wasn't quite as easy for us to be able to ping a cell phone and get the GPS location. Before that technology, we had it at our office. And once daylight came, the highway patrol got a call in Perry County. She was just off of State Route 13. But she had given me her son's name and phone number. I was able to call him and get in touch with him and make arrangements for him to come and get her and get a hotel room lined up for them so he could come and get her and take her home safe.
So you were on the phone with her like over 6 hours?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
What did you talk about for 6 hours?
She talked a lot about her children, her grandchildren, her trip she had been on. We talked about pretty much anything.
You kind of got to know her.
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean,
I was pregnant at the time with my second child, so we were talking about pregnancy, babies, everything you could think of.
Wow. Now, was she scared during that time?
She was scared. Yeah. We were able to calm her down and keep her confident that we were going to find her.
Yes.
And I did not go home at 7 o'clock when my shift ended that day. It ended up being about 9:30 before I went home.
I bet you had a lot of emotion
Yeah.
invested in that call.
Yes, I did.
So then they did find her.
Yes.
Wow.
And she was fine, perfectly fine. They got her out of her car, and
Wow.
her son came and got her and took her home.
Wow. Well, congratulations. What a
Thank
great
you.
story.
Thank you.
I forgot that it was that long.
It was quite a long time ago.
Have you ever heard from her since or ever talked to her again?
There was one time a couple years after that they had called in because it was all over the news at the time.
Yes.
And I got to talk to them, and they said that she was doing fine and they had appreciated that I stayed on the phone with her.
And one thing you mentioned last week a little bit, but this has got to be very difficult. If you have someone call in that may be suicidal.
Yes.
And tell me kind of how you navigate through something like that.
You have to be very compassionate. You have to gain their trust. You can't just you can't come at them like, what's your problem and you want to sound sincere, and you have to prove to them that you really do care for their well-being, that you do want them to be okay.
Yes.
It's all in the way you approach them and gain their trust, and a lot of times you can get them to talk to you, and they will talk and tell you everything. You almost have to be a counselor for them.
Right.
And talk to them and get them through it. And I don't like to have units show up and not let them know that units are coming. So I do always let them know that I am sending people, but they're not coming to take them to jail. They're coming to help them and get them the help they need.
And I think one thing about the dispatch position that's interesting is the fact that everything you do is recorded. Yes. And at any given time, and that's one of the first things when we have some serious crime, some serious event, the first thing they do is they call us and they'll say, can we get the 911 tape?
Yes.
And then the 911 dispatchers on the news
Yeah.
over and over again.
Yep. Yeah, you got to be mindful. Everything is recorded.
Yeah, and so everything you say, and it would be so easy sometimes to be even, under the best of circumstances, because you do have a tough job, to forget something or not think of something,
Right.
and be subject to maybe criticism.
Right, absolutely.
One of the things that you do is you are involved in our leads. And
Yes.
so for our viewers and listeners, what is leads and how does that work as far as law enforcement?
LEADS is it's a law enforcement automated data system. That is a system provided to law enforcement to help gather information on people that they are out with. That is where things such as warrants, protection orders, caution alerts on people. So when deputies run them, any of that information can come up. If they're out with a subject that has a warrant for homicide,
Right.
we can let them know, hey, give us a call or let us know when you can talk without somebody being able to hear you, and we can warn them, hey, you need to be careful around this person. They've got a dangerous history. It's very useful to law enforcement. We also use that same system anytime a deputy goes and takes a report on any item that has been stolen. As long as the owners have a serial number for that item, we enter those items into that system. So if it's recovered by another agency, they can contact us and the owners can get it back. The pawn shops run stuff and it'll flag from that program. It's a very useful tool.
And also you have information on warrants and,
Yes,
and those kind of
warrants,
things.
protection orders. There's supervised release. Anybody who's committed a violent crime against someone, there's a supervised release where they're required to get a mental health evaluation or go through anger management. There are supervised release that we enter on those. All kinds of stuff.
3 different shifts. You worked
Yes.
third. I guess you really worked them all a little bit, right?
Yes, I have.
Is there any difference between the shifts?
There is. Day shift, we're busy on day shift and they're busy on second shift, but it's a different kind of busy. Day shift, we do get a lot of administrative stuff, people wanting copies of reports, people wanting, their CCW permits, people that want vacation watches. We do get calls for service, vandalism stuff like that, and places that are only open during business hours. We have school resource officers, so we have the school situations that go on. Anything that happens at the school, we're contacted for. So we stay pretty busy on second shift. They're busy. Most people work day shift, so they're getting home from work. So then you get calls, stuff that's going on.
Somebody
at
broke
that
in my
time.
house, those kind of things.
And night shift, it is a little slower. Most people are asleep, but generally when you get a call on night shift, it's going to be for something more severe because most people are asleep unless there's something going on.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
mentioned before airtime you actually enjoyed third.
I did enjoy third shift.
Except
A lot
not
of people
sleeping,
don't, but I
yes.
do value sleeping at
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
So, yeah, day shifts for me, 100%.
Tessa, we're just about out of time. Tessa Burroughs, veteran at the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office Dispatch Center. These have been 2 really good programs, and I appreciate all the information. I know I've learned some things, and I'm certainly the viewers and listeners agree. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, we're just about out of time, and certainly I'm appreciative, again, of Fairfield Christian Academy that lets us use their facilities, their audiovisual people to put this program together with the students, J.T. Burcham, our executive producer, Kelly Roberts, and you, the viewers and listeners that join us each and every week. Well, the clock on the wall says we're about out of time. I just appreciate you all, and hope you can join us next week. God bless, and we'll see you right here.